Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever road edition of the Die Hard MMA podcast. How you all doing this evening? Sound check. How do I sound? How's everybody doing? Is it coming through clear? How we doing today? So, all right. First things first, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Your boy's on a break. So that's why we're not going to have the green screen magic this week. Unfortunately, I tried to pick, the nicest, most professional looking background I possibly could for you. The show must go on. You're always going to get that dedication from your boy here. So I just want to let you all know I'm coming off of the worst week betting of my entire life, and I'm sure a lot of you are because a lot of you probably follow my information, and you're always going to get me here. That's the promise to you here. No matter how bad it is, no matter how rough a week goes, especially for us in betting, and we know this is always gambling, right? There's always that chance that we can lose. We dust ourselves off, we get back to work, we get right back on the frickin' horse, and here we are. The Die Hard MMA podcast isn't going anywhere, folks. Loving to hear that. Sound is good. How's everybody doing tonight? UFC betting experience, my lady Cynthia in the chat, MMA champ commentary, Bobby Funk, Grateful Dead. We've got Eddie Mendez, Keto XCV, Joe Halsey, Carter Hitchenberg. How's everybody doing? Thank you all for hanging out with me on this Monday afternoon. I'm always happy to be here. Couldn't be more excited to hang out with you all and have this episode of the Die Hard MMA podcast. First things first, let's get it out of the way. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Head on over to Twitter, hit that retweet button so we get those notifications rolling. We gotta get the squad together. We gotta get everybody in the room and hang out. How's everybody doing? Michael Lunday, love to see you, my friend. I got your note, your message. Thank you very much. That was much appreciated. The words go a long way. King Turk, Brad Carmichael, and here we go. So my boy Brad saying, tighten up, Clint. No. You guys should know me. That is not my style. We have smaller unit sizes and we steer into the variance. We take those shots in positions where maybe other people wouldn't. I don't come onto this show and give you a minus 250 favorite and say that's my only play this week, folks, because it's the only spot that I like. No, I sack up. I put my money where my mouth is. And I will always take the shots where I see value. So I apologize, my friend, but my style is a little bit rapid fire. I take more shots than I don't, and I am definitely willing to eat those losses when the variance goes against us. We've been on a hell of a run the last couple months. We've been on an absolutely incredible wave since MMA came back from COVID. I think we had one losing night during that span. We made up the entire minus 15 unit deficit that I dug myself into to start the year 2020. We got it all back and then some, and we just got kicked in the teeth on Saturday. That's what happened. We all know about variance. We all know what's coming when you do your sports betting. Every once in a while, you're just going to have those days where everything bounces against you. We made a couple bad decisions. We also had a couple of bad bounces. And when those two things happen on the same night, it's going to be a bad night. So let's do what we normally do. We got to dig into last week's card, do the recap, see if we can learn anything about where we went wrong, what we can do better moving forward, and whether or not our bets were actually that bad when we analyze it in hindsight. My boy Dr. Beans 17, boy or girl actually, Dr. Beans, I apologize. I don't need to assume your gender. You could be Mrs. Beans for all I know. My boy MMA Prediction Guru is covering the Contender Series. And here's the thing. Like I said, with the background, your boy's on a bit of a break. So what I'm going to do, we've got the Die Hard MMA podcast right now covering Saturday's showdown. We're going to go over the entire card like always. I will do my Total Madness video, and I'll be doing my post-weigh-in recap video. That one may come a little bit later than normal on Friday. The fights are stateside. They're in Vegas again, so the weigh-ins are a little bit later than they normally would, and I'm actually going to be packing up and going home that day, so I've got to find a time to do that video around real-life stuff. So those are the three things that I'm going to do this week. No articles from me this week, no extra content from me this week. Unfortunately, your boy needs a brain break, and I know everyone's going to say it was because I was coming off of my horrific losing night. This was in the books weeks ago, so the timing just happened to sync up perfectly, but it'll do me some good. Honestly speaking, it'll do me some good to get away for a little bit and not worry so much every single day about MMA. Give me a little bit of a rest, and then we'll hit it strong on the flip side. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. We've got 115 people here in the chat live. All you people jumping in, I see you joining. Thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate you all being in here. Let's do this thing. Mario, yes, my friend. My boys are covering Bellator. They are covering the Contender Series. We got a shit ton of MMA this week. I love it. So if I wasn't on vacation this week, we've got the Tuesday Night Contender Series, which is always fun. Extra MMA throughout the week. You gotta love it. We got Friday Night Bellator, and it's a hell of a Bellator card. It's a really exciting one. I kind of wish, if I find the time to look into that at all, I'll put out like a blast tweet video or something if I have a pick or some action on it. And then we've got Saturday's UFC card, which is another one of these free middle of the road type cards, but this one is stacked with like hungry young want to be contenders. This is going to be one of those action cards. I think this one is going to be super fun. Tanner, welcome to the show, my friend. Yeah, Saturday wasn't great. Wasn't great. It's okay though. We dust ourselves off and we come back strong. That's what we do. Bounce back kid here. Let's do it. So first and foremost, let's talk about last week's card. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but we do need to analyze it and learn where we can make better choices. So first and foremost, the number one lesson that I'm taking away from last week is I need to not try and salvage a card. So that card was historically bad from a falling out standpoint, right? Like we have never had that many fights drop out. We have never had that many short replacements get filled in. Props to the UFC for pulling the whole thing off still somehow, but the amount of movement late in that card, we just shouldn't have chased. So like, for instance, we had the Mearshart and Jojo Calderwood parlay, and when Mearshart dropped out, I wasn't satisfied with my one unit at minus 185 on Joanne Calderwood, so I added Joanne Calderwood by decision, and I just didn't need to do that. Even though the action wasn't what I wanted to be, even though the payout wasn't great, we didn't need to chase by throwing another unit on top of it. You know, stuff like that. We just need to not worry about that. If something is that bad, if it's really just going to hell in a handbasket the way that card did, we just need to step back and stay off, because that card was cursed. And we steered into the curse, unfortunately. I tried to take advantage of it, and it just kind of bit us in the ass. Alex Ramirez, my buddy. Shabam Bam. No Shabam Bams today, my friend, but what's up? Thank you for hanging out. Tanner, nothing but love, my friend. I appreciate it. All right. So, here we go. First fight of the evening last week, we had Gutierrez and Cody Durden, and this is one where honestly I felt like I was sharp already getting the night started here because we dodged this bullet, right? I knew that Cody Durden was going to be able to grapple with Gutierrez, but I was concerned with the step up in competition level. I hated the line. I didn't want to risk it on the dog. It was perfect for us to just sit back and completely avoid this fight. Now it ended up being a draw, so the only people that really got hurt are the ones that took Gutierrez inside the distance, Gutierrez by decision, the totals over under. So like just completely passing was awesome. Those of you that parlayed Gutierrez and Cody Durden, no harm, no foul. You walk away from it clean. So no biggie. Jamal Emmers taking on Vince Cochero. Now this was our first actual bet of the evening. We had the under 2.5 here. Now a lot of you are going to disagree me, but I'm a value hunter. I see the value in these bets even when they don't cash. We had the under 2.5 with Jamal Emmers and Vince Cochero. Somehow this thing managed to get to decision. And I got to tell you, if you go back and you watch this fight, anybody else in Cochero's shoes, any other one weight class below fighter would have caved under the pressure of Jamal Emmers. The body shots that he was crushing this kid with, the big, long hooks and big shots, the clinch knees, like Vince Cochero is made out of steel. I don't know what makes up this man's body, but it's not human and it's not normal. So we lost that bet on the under simply because of how freaking durable this guy is. I don't feel bad about that whatsoever. A lot of people, especially coming in on 1 day's notice, would have caved under that aggression, and I'm okay with taking that shot there. I don't think that that was a bad bet. So then we move on to Johnny Muñoz taking on Nate Maness, and this is another one that, honestly, same situation. We've got a 1 day short notice fill-in. We're questioning the guy's gas tank. We are questioning, what this guy can do. And coming in against a guy who had a training camp for someone who theoretically was better in his exact skill set, I liked the opportunity for this to go under one way or the other. Both guys absolutely could have finished here, and we were getting the plus price. So I got to tell you guys, this is another one I don't feel bad about. I don't feel bad whatsoever about this bet. Muñoz had Nate Maness's back at the end of round 1, and 10 seconds and that fight's over. I mean, he's got him flattened out. He's going for the choke. He's ground and pounding. 10 more seconds in round 1 and the referee stops the fight to save Nate Maness. So we absolutely could have cashed that under 2.5 on that one. And then Muñoz just decided to do nothing but wrestle against the cage for the rest of the fight. And I have no idea why he made that decision. Coasting it out is never the right answer for a UFC fighter. You're never safe, especially when you go to the judges, and he ended up losing because of it. So if he had come out with the intent that he had in the first round, we'd probably cash it. Either that or he gets clipped coming out looking for a finish, and Nate ends up getting a TKO. So I'm fine with that bet. It just so happened that we got the unlucky bounce that neither of them cashed. If either one of those cashes, it's a wash. We go 1-1. We don't lose anything on it. So a little bit of bad luck there. Unfortunate. Seven Ninjas, Hawaiians. Absolutely right, my friend. I don't know what it is, but Hawaiians' durability is just next level unreal. Unreal. Hawaii. Remember that. Everybody document Hawaiians, because seriously, these guys just don't get finished. So Frankie Saenz tanking Jonathan Martinez. Here we go. This is the mistake. This is the mistake. So what we've been talking about a lot is trusting ourselves, right? Trusting our reads, trusting our gut feelings, our instincts, and really it's the post-weigh-in show. The post-weigh-in show has been nothing but fire lately. It actually bailed us out the week before this one when we made some last-minute reads and took some big shots on some dogs. I thought I saw that Jonathan Martinez was a little bit sketchy on that scale. Missing weight, I thought he didn't look as good as he normally does, and that just didn't play out. Absolutely didn't play out. And I think the difference there is, we had rolled the dice on a plus 270 former champion Fabricio Verdum. This is a over-the-hill journeyman Frankie Saenz. I didn't maybe analyze that the best, and we weren't even getting as good of a line. So, yeah, that was a mistake. That was a mistake, and it sucks because earlier in the week I had a lean to the under 2.5, which cashed, and I think that was plus 180. So that one hurt. That one hurt a little bit. We could have made a different bet there, and we could have at least passed on that one, and it wouldn't have hurt us. So unfortunate. Lando Venata taking on Bobby Green. Here was our moment, though. Right here, this is where things got interesting. So my boy Bobby Green comes out and does the damn thing. He did exactly what I was looking for him to do, and spotted him at a solid underdog price. I wish I had bet him a little heavier. I wish I had made Bobby Green a 2-unit play. I was actually pretty confident once I decided to pull the trigger that he was going to get it done. Now, hindsight's 20/20 always, but remember, we sprinkled that quarter unit on round 2 and round 3. And if you watch that fight, guys, we were this close to cashing both of them. I mean, Bobby Green hurt Lando Venata in round 2. And then in round 3, Bobby Green dropped Venata, I think, twice. And then he also looked for a rear naked choke 3 times and had it almost sunk in. I mean, that 17-1 on that quarter unit, that changes our entire night, right? If we end up just catching that finish in round 3 with Bobby Green, we are in a completely different spot today. So that was, in my opinion, a solid value spot at 70-1 to look for that round 3 finish, and just happy to cash somebody because it was our lone winner of the evening. So unfortunate here. I've sworn off betting against Vicente Luque. You'll all be very happy to hear that your boy is no longer gonna chase that fade of Vicente Luque. He's made a fool of me twice. He has made me a believer, and he's training with my boy Gilbert Burns. I gotta stop. I've tried. It's not in the cards. It's not gonna happen. I thought it was there, and that's where, as sports bettors, a lot of people doing this with like football teams, basketball teams, you get a box for these teams and you go, this is what I think of them here, and I'm going to write it because eventually I'm going to be right. And even if there's some bumps in the road, it comes back. I was wrong on Vicente Luque, and I've realized that I was wrong on Vicente Luque, but it cost me 2 shots at trying to fade him before I realized that I need to sit back and reassess the man. He was in a beautiful buy low spot. I know a lot of people cashed in on Vicente Luque, and congratulations if you did, because I had people telling me all week that I was making a mistake going against him here, and they told me that when I bet against him with Nico Price. Now, Nico Price damn near got it done. Randy Brown was completely outclassed, so last bet wasn't so bad. This bet, yikes. So I have eaten my slice of humble pie. Trust me, I'm not doing the Luque thing anymore. This is where things suck. Kevin Holland gets pulled off the card at the very last second. Trevin Giles passes out backstage. I sincerely hope that he is okay and that there's nothing actually wrong with him, but that was the easiest money we ever would have seen. Kevin Holland was going to destroy Trevin Giles. And for that fight to fall off the card, it was really upsetting. Luckily, we've already seen that he's actually getting a rebound fight. He should be back in just a week or two, I think. And you know what? His opponent is going to be a UFC debutant. So there's going to be no value on Kevin Holland, unfortunately, in his next fight. He's going to be a massive favorite, and it's going to be hard to even parlay him, is my guess. But at least we get to watch the kid fight. Jojo Calderwood and Jennifer Maia. So again, I already said we made the mistake loading up on JoJo. We shouldn't have added that extra unit on her. That was a mistake. Maia came ready to fight. And again, we talked about this where I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I need to figure out exactly how I'm going to handle this, because when I have a bet on somebody pre-flop and then we see that they don't look the best at the weigh-ins, maybe I need to start hedging off of those, because it's happened twice. It happened with Joe Benavidez. It happened with Joe Calderwood. And both times they've gotten destroyed. And both times I spied that they did not look good at the weigh-ins. And I've just kind of stuck to my guns and let those plays ride. So I need to sit back and think about how I want to handle that, whether I actually want to start hedging out of those spots or trust my initial read and let it go. We'll see what happens, but Joanne didn't look like she wanted to be there from the get-go. From the weigh-ins, from the face-offs, I saw that there was something absolutely off on her, and I mentioned it at the post-weigh-in video that I don't know if that's just because she's a quiet, mousy person, but she definitely did not look like she wanted to be in this situation. She didn't want to be in this fight. She didn't want to be at the event. And it was upsetting because I saw how good Jennifer Maia looked, and absolutely could have bet the other way just to hedge off and call it a wash and get out of there. It's really upsetting because I think JoJo Calderwood is a much better fighter than Jennifer Maia all around, but she just got it done that night. You know, if JoJo, maybe she needed the money. Maybe, you know, she had the title shot coming up and that gets pushed back to God knows how far away. Maybe she had bills to pay and she had to take a fight. So she takes this one. Her head's not in it. She's on short notice, and that's what happens. And she ended up fainting afterwards also, like Trevin Giles did. I mean, I don't know what was going on this fight, but people were basically dropping dead from their weight cuts, everybody on the entire card. So thank goodness she's out of the hospital. She's okay, but she obviously was not fit to compete, and I saw it. So definitely shouldn't have added on. Maybe should have hedged out of it. We'll see what we're going to do with that in the future, but I feel a little upset about that one because if they run it back, I would bet JoJo again, I'll be honest. And here's where the night went from bad to worse. Derek Brunson just completely caught me blindside here. I bought in on Edmund Shabazian, and I am the first person who will tell you that I fade people stepping up in competition. That's one of my favorite angles in MMA. Absolute favorite angles. And this is a spot where Ed was taking a decent step up in competition. However, it was one that I felt was planned for him. I felt like Derek Brunson was a marked opponent. He was someone the UFC thought Edmund would be able to handle. So I had no problem parlaying him here, and especially after Holland dropped out, that parlay became a straight bet on Edmund, and holy crap, Brunson just did the damn thing. I mean, he looked miles ahead of where he's ever been. He's far tamer. He turned that corner very late in his career, and I was not expecting it. So all props to Derek Brunson. That fight was not a sleeper on Edmund Shabazian. It was a applause for Derek Brunson. We never should have counted Derek Brunson out to the level that we did, and that's my fault. I didn't give him any chance really in this fight. So that's something that unfortunately I just messed up on that one. I missed that one. So all in all, we ended up going 1-8 on the official picks for a minus 8.41 units, and unfortunately, after all the damn work that I did, we dug out of that hole that I set for us here at the beginning of 2020. And we're right back down to being about -1 unit for the year so far on the official record. So got some work to do at this point. The goal is to be up 25 units by the end of right about even at this point. So not overly surprising. I just wish variance didn't have to kick us in the nuts all in one event. Like, can't we have like a 2-unit loser here and a 3-unit loser here and a 1-unit loser here? Like, can we like spread it out? Does it all have to be on one night and just... Yeah, you know that gif of the guy where his his bro just keeps like kicking him repeatedly in the nuts, and he takes it, and he's like, yeah, that was me on Saturday, basically. Speaking of which, the nut kicks were off the chart. We had, I think, eight or nine nut shots in one night. What the hell? All right. So we have gone over the horrible event that was last Saturday. What we need to do now is refocus, woosah, lock it in, focus up. We're bouncing back. We're coming back with a vengeance. I see a couple of spots I like on Saturday's card, and we absolutely have some spots that I like this week. And y'all know me, I will take my shots. I'm not going to step back. Having a losing night like that, you're not going to see me change my strategy. My strategy is a long-term process, and it's been a long-term proven winner for the last couple of years. So because of that, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to fire on the spots that I like and that I see. Let's get into it. So first fight on the evening, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do this here because I don't have my green screen. So first fight on the evening is Irwin Rivera taking on Alqaisi. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I do apologize. So Irwin Rivera is a -200 favorite. The comeback on Ali is +170. I will be completely honest with you guys. This is a fight that I have not looked into, and I have officially drawn a line through. I didn't have time to look into these guys with, like I said, my personal break coming up here and then getting on the podcast without my normal setup and stuff. This is not one that I looked at. So Irwin Rivera, he's only fought once in the UFC. He lost a decision to Giga Chikadze. I'm not impressed myself with Giga Chikadze, so I have really no respect for someone losing in mixed martial arts to him. He's 31 years old, 9-5, not a great record. And then his opponent, Ali, is he's a solid grappler. I mean, he's got a decent record. He has 8 wins, 3 losses. He's 29 years old. And I like what I saw from this guy, however briefly, when he gets fights to the mat. However, I didn't get a chance to look into Irwin to see whether or not he's going to be able to implement that. So at this point, with literally like no information, I kind of have to lean with the dog Ali at +170, especially in the small UFC cage, but I'm not putting a bet on it. I'm not going any further into it than that. If I have time to do the tape study a little bit later in the week, then I will take a look and I'll see if maybe I can come up with something a little bit better for you. Obviously, I'll be tweeting out my picks at Die Hard MMA Pod on Twitter, so do me a favor, follow me over there. You'll get the information right away when I get a chance to do that. We got 213 live viewers. Thank you all so much for hanging with me. I do appreciate it. Again, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe here to Odds HQ, and if you haven't already, let everybody know on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever you do, let them know that you're following the Die Hard MMA podcast. Get them all to tune in here, get their butts in these seats so we can get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Let's go. So here we go. Fight number 2 on the card. Youssef Zalal, my boy, taking on Peter Barrett. This is a fun one, except for the line. So Youssef Zalal is a massive favorite here, -350, +290 coming back on Peter Barrett. And I can understand absolutely why in this situation. So Youssef Zalal is 9-2. In my opinion, he's been nothing but impressive since he stepped into the UFC. Really like this kid. Really like everything that he does. He manages range and distance exceptionally well. Great movement. He fires off big clinch knees. He's got that big jumping switch knee that he likes to hit. For a young fighter, he's got a very high fight IQ. He's got a good gas tank. He's one of these kids that's been doing MMA since the get-go. He's been kickboxing since the age of 10, so he's extremely elusive on the feet. He likes to not get hit and then find ways to hit his opponents back, and that's going to take you a long way if you can keep that up. He's also got excellent takedown defense and submission defense. If he gets into a bad position, he knows how to work back to his bread and butter. He's exceptionally patient as well. He doesn't rush the finishes. He goes to decisions sometimes because he just doesn't need to chase that action. He doesn't put himself in a bad position. You gotta love to see that. I just wish the line was a little bit more playable. His opponent, Peter, here, 11-3, making his UFC debut, I believe. His last 4 fights have been at 155, and this is his debut at 145, so he's dropping a weight class, and I think he struggled a little bit at 155, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. He's been finished a couple times before in the past as well, so that extra 10 pounds being off the table, probably not a good look for him. He seems out of sorts on his backs, on his back. I'm sorry. In the fight tape that I was able to find of this kid, anytime he gets taken down, he looks kind of like a fish out of water. He doesn't know the right moves, the right defenses. He can sweep, but he gets stuck on his back for a while and gets put in very dangerous positions. He does have good clinch knees. He fires out big counters when he's moving backwards, so you have to be careful trying to hunt this guy down and pressure him. He does have a big left hand. Whenever anybody gets in on him, takedown style, he goes with the Travis Brown, like side elbows to the side of the head. He's absolutely willing to grind. He's got a decent wrestling offense. He'll push people up against the cage. He will try to slow the fight down, but he's exceptionally hittable at range. He drops his hands and he doesn't fire a whole lot, so he leaves himself open when he does take these big swinging counter shots. And when he does try to get up off the mat, he gives up his neck and his back. So this is a spot where I'm completely sold on Youssef Zalal. The only problem is you're gonna have to parlay him at this kind of a price, and I don't know if there's anybody else on the card that I love enough to really put in a parlay with him. I wish this is a spot where if I wanted to, I could just say sack up and lay the wood. Like laying 3-1 on Youssef Zalal, he wins this fight, but I don't like risking that kind of chalk. So we're going to have to find a different angle to play it. The props and stuff like that are not out yet. In this case, I might be looking for an inside the distance, especially if I can get plus money on Youssef Zalal inside the distance. I may be taking that shot because he's got a strong, solid offensive attack game. His submission offense is surprisingly underrated, and this kid Peter is going to open up opportunities to be finished, especially with Zalal being able to outclass him on the feet the way I think he's going to. I think he's going to get the old club and sub. We've seen these fighters not be able to get saved by the referee, and Youssef Zalal doesn't have that swarming I'm going to TKO you, or that unless the flying knee, that one hitter quitter knockout power. I think he's going to rock this kid, and Peter's been choked out I think twice already, so I think he hurts him, and then I think he gets the neck. Next fight up, and I'm doing this by the way mostly for the editors here over at odds.com so they know when the fights are supposed to be clipped. We've got Gavin Tucker taking on Justin James. This one is fun. So Gavin Tucker is 11-1-0. He's coming in here taking on Justin James, who is 16-4. And you may remember the name Justin James. Justin James is the kid that stepped in here on short notice a couple weeks ago and absolutely beat the brakes off of Frank Camacho. He's the kid that was the, plus 350 underdog or something like that stepped in and just crushed his face. Yeah, that's Justin James. Guitar hero Justin James. That is actually his fight name. I love this guy. So we've got Gavin Tucker, who's 11-1. He's only got 3 UFC fights. So far, he's 2-1 in the organization. Not half bad. He's only beaten low level of competition, unfortunately, and that's kind of the issue that I have here with him. So he beat Sam Sicilia, and Sam Sicilia is no longer in the UFC. He is now losing over in Bellator, so that's not a great win. And he beat Sung Woo Choi. Sung Woo Choi is 2-1 in the UFC. He got a bounce back win over Sumuktarian, and Sumuktarian is on a 0-2 skid in the UFC. Now, I know we're doing MMA math here, and that doesn't always add up or work, but the point that I'm trying to paint here is that this kid, Gavin Tucker, hasn't beaten anybody of substance so far in the UFC. Now, Justin James may have gotten the flash knockout over Frank Camacho. Frank Camacho may be a bit chinny, so you might be able to put a couple asterisks there next to his name, but he still got it done against a relatively solid level of competition for your UFC debut. I'm kind of leaning here to Justin James on this fight. The only issue that I have is that Justin James is dropping down to 145 for the first time in his career, I believe. So because of that, this is going to be a rough weight cut for him. He's a big dude. He's got lots of muscle. He's explosive. He's powerful, good striking. So the fact that he is taking the opportunity here to cut down to 145, it scares me a little bit. This one's going to be a game time decision. He opened up the dog. He's plus 130 right now. He opened up plus 170. If you got plus 170 on Justin James, you're good to go already. But now where he sits at plus 130, I do still lean with Justin James, but I don't want that recency bias of him knocking Frank Camacho's block off to really influence my bet here. Gavin Tucker at minus 150. I definitely don't want to take that side of this fight. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for this kid at weigh-ins, because if he comes in sucked out, looking like death, can barely make it on the scale, I'm going to fade him. This fight is purely going to be a game time decision. I might bet Gavin Tucker if Justin James looks horrific on the scales. Because if he doesn't look good on the scales, he's going to lose that pop in his punches. He's going to lose that strength advantage, that physicality. He'll be gassing out later in the fight, and Gavin Tucker's a kid that'll be able to take advantage of that. However, if Justin James has got energy, if he's on the stage pounding his chest and roaring at the fans as they watch him make weight, I mean, if he's got energy, then I'm definitely going to take the stab at him, even if it drops all the way to even money by that point. I think he's the bigger, stronger man. I think he's the better striker, and he's got that explosive power. If he can make 145 without killing himself, I like him here in this fight. So we'll see what ends up happening on this one. That's going to be probably a Friday decision, and I really don't expect to pull the trigger before that point. I do apologize. I've been kind of firing through this thing. I'm going to go ahead and catch up with the chat here a little bit. Want to make sure you guys have a voice and feel heard here this evening. So let's see here. Going back. Boston Nick, buddy. What's up? Martial arts fan. Welcome to the chat. Scott, how you doing? All right. Let's see. Save my brother. Mascot. All right. Trying to get caught up here. See if there's any comments here. A lot of people are saying Janes. A lot of people are looking at Janes. All right. And I agree. I mean, that's the way that I would look going forward for sure. Could have Janes in a parlay. Live dog. I love it, Brad. That's what's up. All right. I got Weidman. All right, Lorenzo. We'll talk about that a little later. Haqparast going to take that kid's potentially. Very much potentially. Razor Sharp Picks. What's up, buddy? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for hanging out. Molly McCann and JoJo need to be on your blackball list. Yeah, it's true. Absolutely true. You know, JoJo, I feel like she had you know what? Honestly, both of those losses are forgivable. Molly McCann's opponent showed up looking far better than she ever has her entire career. We couldn't have seen that coming. JoJo had an off night. She went to the hospital. I'm not going to hold that against her. But yeah, both of them definitely burned me. I won't be asking them for dates anytime soon. And PayPal my money says Janes was a college wrestler. Yep, that definitely helps for sure. All right, let's move it on down here. Whoo, next fight of the evening. Thank you all again so much for hanging out with me. You know, for real quick, I do have to go ahead and give a shout out to my boys over at GOATCapitalSports.com. They've been doing some good stuff since all the other major sports came back. They'll do all the stuff, baseball, basketball, hockey. They give out free picks. They've been with me since the beginning, ever since the Die Hard MMA podcast got started. GOAT Capital Sports has been hanging out with me. So do me a favor, hit them up on Twitter, give them a follow, check them out. If you're interested in paying for picks, not everybody is. I get that. I give my stuff out for free, so I totally would understand why you wouldn't want to pay for picks. But if you are interested, they have very, very reasonable prices, and they've got a pretty good track record, actually. So check out GOATCapitalSports.com. And then, of course, make sure you hang out here on Odds HQ because we're covering everything too. Next fight up, Andrew Sanchez taking on Wellington Turman. This one is another one that's got me a little bit intrigued. So Andrew Sanchez, 12-5-0. This guy is super simple, super basic, extremely easy to handicap. He does the same thing every single fight. He's one of these grinder-type fighters that's going to beat a specific other type of fighter, and he'll do okay. He's always going to be a journeyman. He's never going to be a title contender. He's just going to be someone we can make money on in specific random situations. And apparently the sun is setting, and that light is getting bright. You know what? I know this is break time. You know, I apologize. I'm going to go shut this thing here so maybe that light doesn't get too bright for us while the show wraps up, all right? Sit tight with me just 1 second. All right, back in a flash. There we go. Wasn't that quick? I know, sexy, right? So, here we go. Andrew Sanchez, after his last fight, apparently got stranded out in Canada. So because of the whole COVID lockdown situation, I got to give a shout out to our guy over on Odds HQ, James Lynch, for doing the interview with this guy. And apparently he got stuck there because of the COVID situation. So he's been training at TriStar this entire time, which I think is a much better gym than Syndicate MMA, and that's where he was before. So he's been able to work with, in my opinion, some better coaches, maybe some better bodies. I think he's probably going to look sharp on this one. Stalking him over on Instagram, he looks physically in shape. I know Sanchez always does look in shape. He's pretty good, but he looks in seriously good shape for this one. Rude Boy Fresh, what's up? Dakota McLaurin, Ronaldo Ramirez. How's everybody doing? Thank you very much for tuning in. All right. So yeah, I mean, he's got these big, heavy leg kicks. I love seeing that. He walks forward, he hurts people with those. Good side-to-side movement, good intelligent jab, works behind it. But like I said, very, very basic. He looks to bully his opponents up against the cage. Very physically strong, good wrestling. And here's the key: this dude has never been submitted. He does redline. I mean, he runs completely out of gas sometimes at the end of the third round. But he's one of these guys that just knows how to wrestle through it. You know, wrestlers, they have that fifth gear. They dig deep, they know how to push past it, and he's one of these guys. He will absolutely run out of energy, but somehow manages to find that next step and keep on pushing. I like to see that, because we can't say he gasses out, because he will find a way to continue. Wellington Turman on the other side of this thing, this kid stalks forward. His striking is a work in progress, let's call it that way. He throws big leg kicks himself. He throws big body and head kicks. He's pretty quick with his legs, actually, but he's kind of a one-and-done striker. He takes these big swings. He doesn't really set stuff up, and he's really mainly a ground game fighter. He does have strong body lock takedowns. He's got an excellent, grip strength. Like, once he clinches his hands together, you got a hard time getting away with him. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's willing to dive on chokes. He will give up his back. Not his back. He will take the bottom position. He'll go to his back trying to get a finish. He transitions extremely quickly. He looks for his opponent's back, which I love to see. He hunts for submissions even when he is off of his back, and he also looks to be in just excellent condition for this fight. Honestly, this is one that's kind of a 50-50 for me, except that I've said it before on a couple of shows. Whenever decent level jiu-jitsu meets decent level wrestling, or high level jiu-jitsu meets high level wrestling, the wrestler just wins in MMA, folks. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy myself. I love Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and sometimes they get it done, but usually it's when the jiu-jitsu guy is just a higher caliber than the wrestler. But when you get two people that are excellent in their specific craft, the wrestlers know how to stay safe. They've learned enough jiu-jitsu to defend the bad positions, to know not to get swept or reversed, to stay out of these spots, but then they're able to just stuff and stifle the jiu-jitsu guys. So believe it or not, I think Andrew Sanchez actually has a striking advantage in this fight against Wellington Turman. I think he's going to be able to throw more. He's got better boxing. So if he can keep this thing, in boxing range, all in or all out, he's not going to really have to worry about the kicks of Turman. And we've seen Sanchez take some absolutely horrific bombs from guys before. I don't think Turman's a knockout power type of guy. I don't expect him to be able to land flush and knock Sanchez out or anything like that. And then if they deal with this fight in the clinch like I expect them to, I think Sanchez is going to be the bigger, stronger guy. I think he's going to know how to reverse those situations better. I think he's going to know how to dig for the underhooks and put Wellington up against the fence. And I think he's the physical, more strong, build of the two guys. Because of that, I mean, it scares me a little bit, because Andrew Sanchez is kind of a guy I like to fade, but I think he's live here, folks. I think there's a lot of live dogs this week. I think that this week, a lot of these fights are lined exceptionally closely, and I feel like money's coming in on the wrong side. Now, a lot of people may make fun of me for saying, I'm a contrarian bettor or something like that. Like, I like to fade the public, and I don't mean to do that. It's just because I take the line value where I see it, and I definitely don't see line value laying the chalk on Turman here. Sanchez has a good enough submission defense that I don't see him getting caught here. Turman's a young kid. He's good. He's growing. He's developing. We're going to see improvements from him. But Sanchez is not old and shot to the point that he's just not going to be improving or anything like that either. I'm watching this one very closely, folks. I have not pulled the trigger yet, but I've got a very serious lean to Andrew Sanchez, and I may end up pulling the trigger on that one, because I really just have a feeling that he takes this kid down and, holds him against the fence and grinds out a really close, boring fight. And this one is not going to be exciting. I promise you that. This one will be the opposite of exciting. All right, my boy Boston Nick in the chat talking about the Discord. If you haven't heard yet, we are having an Odds Squad Discord. My boy Nick is in charge of getting that all set up, so make sure you follow him over on Twitter as well, Boston Nick MMA. He has the keys to the castle. We're all going to have everybody in there, so if you want to hang out and chat with your favorite odds.com personalities, myself, Guru, Nick, Mo, Just Bleed, all of us. I know I'm forgetting a couple. I apologize, but I got to get through this. We're all going to be in this Discord hanging out and chatting. So if you want to hang out and chill with us, maybe there will be some contests and stuff. It's going to be a good time. Make sure you sign up for that. Come hang out with us. And as always, subscribe to Odds HQ. Our next fight of the night is another one that I am cautiously interested in. We've got Nasrat Haqparast taking on Alex Muñoz. This is a fun spot because Nasrat is coming off the biggest loss of his career, and he made me cry a little bit that night. So Nasrat Haqparast is coming off a bad knockout loss to Drew Dober, and this is one where Drew Dober really announced that he was coming for the title. Like this was his turn the corner moment. It was a spot where I thought that Nasrat was going to be able to outpace him. I thought Nasrat was going to have the faster hands, be able to land more volume, and he shut me up real quick. So Drew Dober, we know, is a very serious threat to the belt at this point, and Nasrat Haqparast kind of needs to go back to the drawing board. He's 11-3. He's by no means a shot prospect at this point or anything, but he's welcoming Alex Muñoz, UFC debutant, at 6-0 here. So it's a spot that he is really supposed to win, and the bookmakers have him lined accordingly. They have got Nasrat Haqparast sitting here at -240. The comeback on Alex Muñoz is +200. Now, the real question here is not Nasrat Haqparast, because we know exactly what he does, right? He's taken enough time off from this fight. He's not going to have chin issues. I don't think he's a chinny fighter or anything like that. And he's just going to get right back to work. Good footwork, good boxing, good movement, big overhand punches, heavy, fast hands. I mean, he's going to do the same thing that he always does, and he's going to beat a whole heck of a lot of fighters doing it. He's also young enough to improve and grow. Alex Muñoz is the wild card here. He's coming out of Team Alpha Male. He is the guy that beat Nick Newell. If you don't recall, Nick Newell is the dude with just one arm. So he's coming off the Contender Series after derailing the hype train that was Nick Newell and keeping him from the UFC, sending him over to Bellator. This guy's a strong grappler. He's an exceptionally physically strong grappler, and he does the second and third takedown attempt thing where he mixes in trips. You know, he doesn't just give up if he misses his first takedown attempt. He has strong physical body lock takedowns, and then he wings these big overhand shots. He's another one of these like wrestle boxer types where he'll look for the, I don't want to say club and sub because he doesn't always look for the sub. It's like club and takedown, I guess. He has extremely well-timed takedowns. He hits those doubles fast and hard, as to be what you'd expect from a Team Alpha Male product. He does have a tight squeeze. He's got several wins by submission. If he gets on your neck, you're probably in trouble. So this is a spot where I got to tell you, I feel like it's dog or pass. Like, I don't want to sell my boy Nasrat short here. But what I did notice looking back in his tape is that he really doesn't face a whole lot of takedowns. More often than not, Nasrat is a on-the-feet striker type of fighter, and most people are willing to engage him in that on-the-feet striking match. In his first UFC fight, short notice debut fight, he fought Marcin Held. Marcin Held went 3 of 10 on his takedowns. Now, we have to give a little bit of an asterisk next to that because Nasrat was on short notice. We don't know how well he prepared. We don't know what his gas tank really was like. So the fact that he gave up 3 of 10, that's still not a bad takedown defense ratio for a short notice fight against a grappler. But he was taken down, and when he got taken down, he didn't know how to get off his back. Nasrat Haqparast ended, I think, all 3 rounds off of his back. I'm surprised. He didn't really have anything to do getting up from that point. And then when he fought Mark Diakiese doesn't really go for takedowns, and he's one of 2. He went for 2 takedowns, and he only got one of them, but I mean 50%, right? That's all you need. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to really hold Nasrat down and do much with it from that point, but the fact is he gave up that takedown. Now Nasrat is fighting a real high-level wrestler. I'm a little concerned. I feel like this might be a dog or pass scenario where you've got this Team Alpha Male kid, good solid training partners, good camp, good energy, coming from a good place, knows what to do at a high UFC level. You know, you can train with guys like Cody Garbrandt and stuff like that over there. Got Uriah Faber as a coach. He's going to be prepared and ready to go for this. On top of that, I don't know that Nasrat's going to have the foot speed advantage, and that's something that he almost always has in most of his fights. If Alex Muñoz is going to be able to outmove Nasrat Haqparast, he'll be able to hit those big double legs. He'll be able to get one foot up in the air and then kick his bottom leg out from under him. He's going to be a problem in this fight, in my opinion. And if Nasrat Haqparast is at all second-guessing himself after coming off that knockout loss, we've got to wonder, mentally speaking, where he looks like. I think this is going to be another one. I want to see them at the weigh-ins. I want to see what they size up next to each other, because if Muñoz is a decent chunk bigger than Nasrat, that's only going to add to my idea that maybe he can pull the upset here. So I don't want to step in front of Nasrat Haqparast. He's a bet-on fighter for me. He's somebody that I've gone to the well with multiple times and made money on. I don't think he's going to be, like I said, a broken prospect. So this probably is going to be a fireball and popcorn fight for me. This is probably going to end up being a pass, but I can see that there's value on the Alex Muñoz site just from what I've seen from the tape. I would not fault anybody for taking that shot. Martial arts fan, Holland's on this card? He's on this one? I didn't know that. I didn't know they added him to this one. Okay, I'm going to have to be on top of that. Thank you very much for the heads up. I appreciate it. Did they drop a line yet? Nope, I'm not seeing a line dropped yet. Nope. No Kevin Holland line yet. Okay. Just for those of you that know, Kevin Holland, that line is going to get steamed. He's going to get dropped in at like minus 250 or something like that, and he's going to be minus 600 by the time any of us can bet it. Coin flip MMA. Thumbs down. Sorry. You're entitled to your opinion, my friend. It's okay. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you coming to chill with us today. Yeah, Holland is absolutely going to do work, man. He's one of these. Now, okay. Don't crush me in the comments when I say this, because it's not what you think I mean. I'll explain it. He's one of these mentally unstable type of fighters. He's one of these guys that he's a real fighter. Like, they have something in them that we don't have. He's angry and he wants to hurt somebody. That's what they do for a living. You've got to be in a different brain space than regular humans to be able to do that for your day job. And he's one of these angry, mean type of fighters, and that's one of the reasons why I love him. Holland is one of the guys I cannot wait to see get in there. And yeah, I feel bad for the kid that's coming in against him, because he's looking for violence. He wants that violence. He's going to vent those frustrations, and I fully expect him to basically kill the kid that he fights. John 3 Madonna, what's up, my brother? How you doing, my friend? Thank you very much. Welcome back, Manny. Thank you for hanging out here for me. Open double weight cut? No, my friend, because Kevin Holland is actually looking to drop to 170 pounds. So because of that, he was taking that fight at 185 against Trevin Giles. That's really not much of a weight cut for him. That's like a walking around weight type of situation for Kevin Holland. So it's not going to be a back-to-back weight cut type situation. He really kind of wakes up. I think he walks around at like 190, 195, something like that. He's not a massive dude. I really don't get it. I'm sorry, what am I saying? I really don't get it. He's just not that big a guy. He doesn't cut a ton of weight at 185. The 170 cut, that's a cut. That will absolutely be a cut for him. So this one, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I really wouldn't see it being an issue. And coin flip MMA, you must not know me very well, my friend. Not salty at all. When I say thank you for hanging out, I genuinely mean thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. You could be a lot of places right now, but right now you're hanging out with the Odds Squad here on Odds HQ, and it means the world to me. It really does. So thank you. All right. Moving straight along. Let me get, I'm mixing up my windows here. Like I said, I'm sorry. Without the green screen, I'm lost. I've lost my powers. Speaking of which, by the way, what we've discovered is I apparently carry all of my luck inside my beard. I'm trying to get on here and look professional and look presentable for you people, so I shave my head and I trim my beard, and then what happens? I go 1-8. I guarantee you we have a profitable night on Saturday if I don't shave. The quarantine beard had my power in it. I'm like Samson from the Bible. The longer this thing gets, the more bets I win. So tweet at odds.com, let them know that I don't need to look presentable for these live streams, and then we're just going to keep cashing bets. Tim Means taking on Leonardo Staropoli. And this is another one that's incredible. Good matchmaking. Solid spot here. I'm scared to pull the trigger on this fight. So Tim Means, 29-12. This dude has taken a beating his last couple of fights. Leonardo Staropoli, really promising looking young up-and-comer, 9-2. Right now, they have got Tim Means as a slight underdog. Sorry, let's start with Leonardo. Minus 135 favorite. Comeback on Tim Means is about plus 115. Tim Means opened up at about plus 120, and that line has been doing this. People can't decide which side they want to be on this one, and I get it. Let's talk about why. Tim Means is an incredibly high-level striker. On the feet, this guy knows what he's doing. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing. He's just solid basically everywhere on the feet. The real hole in his game came in the ground, right? So he struggled with guys that could take him down, that could rough him up on the mat, make him be worried about the threat of the takedown. That's when he really has a hard time. And unfortunately, he's been in some absolute wars because of that. He's taken a ton of damage, and I'm really, his chin is just gone. Like he's got nothing left. His durability is a massive concern. He's got really improved wrestling. That's a part of his game that he did focus on. He did work on to try try to catch up a little bit, but he still just, it's a little too much too late, right? He fights long, he does well with that, and he's great in the clinch. If he gets you in the clinch, you're in serious trouble. He'll get that Muay Thai plumb behind the back of your head there, and he'll just murder you with those knees to the body and the chin. When he gets hurt, though, he does shoot really sloppy takedowns that can absolutely be taken advantage of, and like I said, big note for myself here on my breakdown is that his chin is gone in capitals, G-O-N-E, gone. Leonardo Staropoli, smooth on the feet. I like this kid. We've bet on him a couple times in the past. He manages range extremely well. He's a dynamic striker. He throws spinning stuff, which is always fun to watch. And he had a really entertaining fight with Muslim Saliakov his last time out. But it was apparent that Muslim Saliakov just never had any respect for the striking power of Leonardo Staropoli. Every time Leonardo hit him with anything, Saliakov came back even harder, and Staropoli started to shell up. It was apparent the power difference between the two of them. So he failed in that step up in competition, and now they're giving him a slightly more manageable, more reasonable step up in competition. He switches stances, so he mixes up his stances, and that makes him really hard to read. You don't know if those kicks are coming from the left or the right, and really it's his kicks that are the main offense. He does have hands, but he's not really a proficient boxer, and that's something that I noticed with Tim Means. He really struggles with power punchers. So not power kickers, power punchers. When you get the guys that can throw a real tight, short hook, that's the guy that he's going to get hurt by. That's the guy he'll get clipped right behind the ear and he'll wobble on his feet. When he's fighting a fellow kicker, I think he's far more comfortable in that range. So I don't know if Leonardo Staropoli brings the right kind of threat to the table for a guy like Tim Means. So this is a fight that I have left myself a giant note on to just pass. Fireball and popcorn. For the love of God, please, just take this one off. And I'm not telling that to you, my friends. I'm telling that to me because I want to bet on Tim Means. And for the love of God, can you imagine betting on Tim Means in the year of our Lord 2020? How could you possibly justify betting on Tim freaking Means, especially at a plus 115 price? Now, if you're giving me plus 170, if you're giving me plus 150 even, maybe I roll those dice, but damn near pick 'em here on Tim freaking Means, who's got nothing left for durability. How am I supposed to pull the trigger on that? I can't. I shouldn't. Here's the thing. If Tim Means gets clipped by damn near anything, Tim Means goes down. He will get stumbled. He will get rocked. It's going to be over. However, Leonardo Staropoli is not the kind of guy that's going to hit him with the shots that so far he's been really known to get hit with. Leonardo Staropoli is the kind of guy who's going to fire off. Tim Means will have time to see coming and react. He'll be able to dodge, he'll be able to bob, he'll be able to weave, he'll be able to block kicks and check them and then fire back. And I don't know if Leonardo Staropoli doesn't land a spinning knockout, I don't know if he's got that one-hitter quitter power. Tim Means does. Tim Means also has a mean submission game. Tim Means also has very improved grappling. I left myself this note to just pass because I really want to bet Tim Means in this spot. I feel like Leonardo Staropoli may be biting off a little more than he can chew. This is a bad matchup for him. The saving grace may be the durability issues of Tim Means. So I'm going to be watching this fight extremely closely, and I will be super ready to like do a backflip and say, yay, I called it when Tim Means gets it done, but I can't possibly actually put my money on there. All right. Moving on up. Ooh, my Boston Nick buddy here saying, I'm going to bet Leonardo inside the distance at plus 220. I mean, I don't mind that because with the durability issues with Tim Means, maybe not a bad look. Like I said, I'm not sure that Leonardo Staropoli actually has the opportunity that most other fighters would have to land that knockout blow. And again, we are dealing with decent-sized men in the small cage, so the action is going to get pushed. A finish is probably something that's likely. And here, that's where my buddy Cold Hard Units is asking under. I can't wait for Total Madness this week. There's so many interesting spots. I want to see where they line this one because my gut says they're going to line this one at 1.5, right? Because of the durability issues of Tim Means, because of the hype around Leonardo Staropoli, they probably put this thing at 1.5. And if they put it at 1.5, I would be tempted to lean over. If they put it at 2.5, then I mean it's probably an under or pass at that point. We'll see though. And Neil, yeah, buddy, you got to risk it for the biscuit. That's so true, but this ain't the one. There are a couple of better spots here for me, in my opinion. There's some good stuff on this card. Danny, what up, buddy? Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you tuning in. All right, let's go ahead and move this bad boy right along. Our next fight is actually transitioning over to the main card, and it's one we've got to bet on, folks. We've got Beneil Dariush taking on Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman, and this one's fun. So we have got my boy Beneil Dariush opening up at -175. He sits at -160, and that's where I have locked him up. That's right. I bet Beneil Dariush at -160. Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman is a +140 underdog on the flip side. And Beneil Dariush, this guy is one of the most well-rounded UFC fighters we have ever seen. I love this guy, and somehow he is improving. His last fight with Drakkar Klose, we saw him get clipped, we saw him get hurt and wobbled, and then we saw him do the impossible and come back and finish a guy that's known for his durability on the feet. Impressive. Really showed me that Beneil Dariush is in the right space right now. Great head movement, circles well. He works behind the jab, super intelligent with his jab, very strong in the clinch. He's willing to grind. He's willing to bully his opponents up against the cage. Good chain wrestling. He will go from one takedown attempt to the other and not just give up after one. He mixes in the trips. He's a super high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Always has the opportunity to finish as soon as this thing hits the mat. Smothering top control. Big-time shoulder pressure when he gets on top. He passes for dominant positions extremely quickly, and whenever he gets the opportunity, he takes the back. He looks for the back always and goes there as quickly as possible. He's another one of these guys with a big, tight squeeze. If he gets on your neck, you're probably going out. There's almost no getting away from Beneil Dariush if he backpacks you. Extremely high fight IQ. He knows what he needs to do. He makes adjustments, and he's good enough anywhere this fight takes place to basically mix it up. He's kind of a poor man's George St. Pierre. He's good enough striking that if he's got the slight advantage there, he will strike with you. He's good enough grappling that if he's got a slight advantage there, he will grapple you. Like, he just knows where to take the fight. And on top of that, he's training with some of the best guys he can possibly get with right now. He's been training with Fabricio Verdum. He's been training with Gaethje and Dober. I mean, he's in the right place at the right time, in my opinion. On the flip side of this thing, Scott Holtzman, 14-3. He's a poor man's Cody Stamann, in my opinion. He's a poor man's Beneil Dariush. He's the same guy, just one notch lower. He circles well also. He kind of fights out of a karate-style stance. He's got good head movement and a big right cross. That's about it. He does have good feints, but he doesn't have exceptional power or anything like that in his hands. He relies on his grappling. He does have well-timed double legs. He does also have a good, strong top game, but he really relies on his wrestling. So, in my opinion, Beneil Dariush has the advantage in this fight anywhere it takes place. He's absolutely got the advantage no matter where this fight goes, in my opinion. And because of that, I am more than willing to lay that -160 price. The only reason I'm not getting greedy and laying a, two-banger on it and going 3.2 units to win 2 units is because of that durability concern. There is always that chance that Scott Holtzman can clip him with something if they get into a clinch situation and put him down. So I think Beneil Dariush wins. I like him enough to lay -160 on it. I don't think the price is too wide. You don't want to parlay him. He's slow enough right now to go ahead and play him straight. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and hopefully we can go ahead and pick up a unit there. And martial arts fan, my friend, Dariush by submission. I actually completely agree. I think this is going to be a spot where he can outclass Scott on the mat, and when he gets the opportunity to do that, I do think he'll find the neck, and I do think he'll find the finish. So that's something I'm going to be looking at a little bit later in the week, maybe a half-unit shot or something like that on Dariush inside the distance or by submission. We'll see what those lines look like when they end up dropping, but I completely agree with you. Pittsburgh for life saying, yeah, I like Dariush as well. Dariush Zalal parlay incoming. Groots, that is not a bad spot to be. Honestly, I don't mind that parlay. It's not a bad idea. Like I said, the only reason I'm not parlaying Dariush is because the potential durability issues. Robot Chicken Wings saying Benny all day. I like that. Mario saying official pick. That's correct. I tweeted it out a day or so ago, actually, I think. All right, people talking about the main event. We will get there. We will get there. Does Scott have a good ground game? Justin Jr., 962. Scott does have a good ground game. However, he's a wrestler. And this is where kind of I talked about, remember, a little bit ago. When you've got guys, wrestler versus jiu-jitsu player, that are kind of on the same level, I tend to favor the wrestler. He is not on the same level as Dariush. Dariush probably has just as good of wrestling as Scott Holtzman does. Maybe not quite as good, but his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is on another level. It's on another planet. Scott has nothing on Dariush when it comes to the submission game, transitions, sweeps, reversals. So I fully expect Dariush to have a solid ground advantage in this spot. Oh, Ronaldo Ramirez, what would be your $1,000 bet on this card? Since I will not be joining my boys on the roundtable tomorrow, Ronaldo, I will answer that question for you. Let's do that at the end of the show, why don't we? So I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity to just say thank you so much to odds.com. The lovely, wonderful odds.com right here. Make sure you all subscribe here on the channel. We are covering everything, all right? We're the place to be for MMA right now. We've got every aspect of the game covered. We've got all the best personalities. Everybody you see over on Gambling Twitter, we're all right here at Odds HQ. And my boys are doing a live show tomorrow. They're going to be previewing this event. They're also going to be live during the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series matchups. So make sure all of you that are watching this live right now, turn on your notifications for Odds HQ. Get on back here tomorrow night. It's going to be some fun while my boys try to make some money live betting that. And we always do if you had $1,000 on this card, where would you put it? That's a common thing we do on the Tuesday show. I'm not going to be on the Tuesday roundtable this week, so because of that, I will answer that question later on in the evening. Ooh, Ling Damone saying Dariush by sub at plus 440. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up sprinkling that, buddy. You can go ahead and I don't want to say lock it in right now because I'm not going to tweet out the official pick. I can't bet it right now while I'm on the show. But yeah, I will probably be going ahead and taking that shot. Ooh, Open Source 76 saying hot sauce by KO. Very, very interesting. Good luck, my friends. Good luck. As we all know, we try to do everything we can to keep it positive and feel good around here. Good luck to everybody, even if you're betting the opposite way from me on a fight. That's fine. I will high five you when you win. We're looking for positivity. We've got a family set up over here at Odds HQ. We don't need to be in that pissing contest like most of the other toxic people you see online these days. There's just no need. It's nothing but love here, and we're allowed to disagree. Families don't always agree on everything, and that is okay. Yana Kunitskaya taking on Julija Stoliarenko. That is a mouthful, folks. All right. This is a fight where, similar to the first fight on the evening, I kind of drew a line through it. I have no interest in this fight whatsoever. Yana Kunitskaya is the UFC veteran at this point. She's 12-5. She's welcoming the newcomer 9-4 Julija. And Yana Kunitskaya is a minus 235 favorite. We've been in hot water a couple weeks back to back to back betting these big women's favorites that just fall through, and I'm not doing it again. This is a spot that there's a whole lot of other spots on the card that I think are much, much better than this. So I'm just not doing it. I'm just not going to do it. I haven't looked into it. I haven't even researched them, honestly. There's been no tape study, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. That's right, Danny. Let's fat boys. Fireball and popcorn for those of you who are new to the show. We're just going to sit back, crack open your favorite drink, take a bathroom break. This is the fight to do it. I want nothing to do with that price tag. And we've got a decent question here. The Gaming Wolf 87. Yana by sub, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. This is another one. Again, I'm kind of on vacation, so if I have time to look into it a little bit later, I will. But I kind of tend to more think about JT MMA has the right idea. Probably going to be a little boring on this one. I'm a huge fan of women's MMA. I love the ladies. I love what they do. I appreciate them getting in there, and I respect them going to war for our entertainment. But Yana Kunitskaya is not someone who I'm particularly a large fan of, and I don't even know who Julija is. So, again, this particular week with me taking it a little bit light, I just don't want to put the legwork again on it. I'll be honest with you. You will always get honesty, openness, and transparency from your boy. So I'm telling you, I just don't want to do it. We've got Maki Pitolo. Coconut Bombs makes his glorious return against Darren, the Dentist Stewart. This is a banger fight right here, folks. This one is I don't want to call it a sleeper for the fight of the night because obviously everyone knows this one could be fireworks. We've got Darren the Dentist Stewart opening as a minus 150 favorite. He currently sits at minus 185. The comeback on Maki Coconut Bombs Pitolo is plus 160. Now, Maki Pitolo, we all know what he brings to the table, right? This kid's got absolute bombs in his hands. Big, big, big power. One of my favorite things that he does is that he just absolutely rips to his opponent's bodies to bank that energy. He's draining his opponent's gas tank, and he does a light, heavy combo. That's something that I love to see, where it's soft, hard. So that last shot of the combo is going to be the one that comes for the knockout, but he gets your attention and makes sure he gets you where he wants you to be with those couple of light punches going forward. The flip side of that is Darren Stewart, who throws 100% into everything he puts out there. Boogs is already saying that the dentist is a lock. Oh, Maki Pitolo fires straight punches right down the middle. He is hittable, though. Extremely explosive, big power takedowns. He's capable of lifting his opponents above his head and slamming them. He actually scrambles relatively well if he gets top control. He's got underrated grappling. He's got good heavy top control, but he does give himself up sometimes, getting swept, getting reversed. He does take the back well. He's got a really underrated, sharp, rear naked choke, and this kid never quits. This kid absolutely never stops going forward. So the question is Maki Pitolo at 185 a real thing? Is it a real thing? Because when he was at 170, he's been finished a couple of times. When he's at 185, he's done nothing but look like a monster. Now, I know he has fought a questionable level of competition, but Callan Potter was a very bad matchup for him. And his most recent fight against a nearly retired Bird, you can't look into that one too much, right? His opponent was literally 1 foot out the door. So, I don't know. Deeds of legend, my friend. I have heard that. I'll give it a try. I've heard that from more than one person. I'll give it a try. So my question here is, do we buy in on Maki Pitolo at 185 being one of these mythical MMA creatures? Because if he legit is one of these fighters who fights natural weight and is just that much better without the weight cut, maybe his durability skyrockets. Maybe his gas tank skyrockets. Maybe his power skyrockets. We've seen it before, and so far it looks like the writing might be on the wall with Maki Pitolo here. Darren Stewart, he's an absolute tank. This dude is a physical monster. Hard leg kicks, heavy hands. They call him the dentist because he knocks people's teeth out. Big knees and elbows in the clinch. He also struggles with the grappling. A lot of his opponents come in here and try and wrestle this man because they have no interest in standing with him. And like I said, he throws everything he has into every single strike, which leads him to gassing out. He has some gas tank problems because of the way that he strikes, and it doesn't seem like he's fixed that hole in his game just yet. He accepts bottom position. If you do finally get this man down to the ground, which is easier said than done, but if you do finally get it there, he is willing to lay on his back. He doesn't have much of a stand-up game. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and keep up with it, and I keep seeing the word fade, so I keep going from F words to fade. Sorry, every time. You guys keep getting me in the chat. Quit. So, this is a dog or pass spot in my opinion, folks. I know people are saying that Darren Stewart is a lock this evening, and I know that Maki Pitolo is hittable, and I know he's fought some questionable competition in the UFC, but this is not the spot where you bet Darren the dentist. There are certain people that you just can't bet as a favorite, and in my opinion, Darren Stewart is one of these guys. If he's the favorite in the fight, it just doesn't seem all that great of a proposition to me. I don't feel like there's any value to be had there. He's someone who's hard to trust. He makes bad decisions. His fight IQ isn't where I need it to be. And if he doesn't get that knockout, there's a very good chance that he gets either out finessed or taken down. He gets worked over the course of the fight and then ends up losing a very unimpressive decision. So let me go back. I'm taking a look at maybe his last couple of wins and losses here. All the way back against Eric Spicely. He was a plus 135 dog. Win. Against Charles Byrd, plus 150 dog. Win. Edmund Shabazian, even money, loss. Okay, again, it's Edmund Shabazian. Until last night, we were all super high on him, so understandable. And then he fights Bevon Lewis, plus 145. Win. And then he fights Darren Win at minus 105, slight underdog. Win. Then he fights Bartosz Fabinski as a minus... What? Where'd it go? Where'd the line go? Why is there no line? I bet on him, and I had him in a parlay, so I know he was the favorite. Unfortunately, Topology is not loading the actual line there. But so what I'm seeing here is that every single time that Darren Stewart is an underdog, he's willing to come through. He is willing to put the work in. He can pull that upset in the right spot. and he just has no track record of being a favorite. So now we're asking him to take this fight at a minus 185 line and come through against an opponent who looks like he belongs way more at 185 than he does at 170. Can't do it. Absolutely can't do it. So again, I'm going to tell you all, this is a dog or pass fight for me. And so far, I'm going to go ahead and take the pass here because I'm not so sure that I trust Maki Pitolo just yet. He's got to prove it to me. And Roland here, Clint, you're passing on everything. So far, yes. So far, yes. This is going to be a light card for me, mostly because these fights are so evenly contested. And I'm really looking to lock up a win coming off that 1-8 loss. So I need to be convicted about the moves that I make at this point. I'm not going to change my strategy. I'm still going to take the shots on the dogs that I like. But all the dogs that I like have big red flags this week. And that's really my problem, is that even coming off a winning night, I wouldn't be rapid firing on this card. This just isn't the one. So I like Beneil Dariush. We pulled the trigger. I like a fighter a little later on in the card. We already pulled the trigger. We'll get there. I've got a slight lean to Maki Pitolo, but the money is coming in heavily right now on Darren Stewart. Let's see where that line goes. Maybe I bet Maki Pitolo a little later in the week. If he gets up to a 2-1 underdog, I probably have to pull the trigger when it gets up that high, so we'll see. I've got a slight lean to Nasrat Haqparast, but the line is too wide, so I can't pull the trigger on minus 240 there, and I definitely don't trust him in a parlay when Alex Muñoz could be his kryptonite. I have a slight lean to Tim Means, but I can't bet Tim Means because he's got massive durability issues, and one of the rules of the Die Hard MMA podcast is we do not bet chinny fighters. So you can't pull the trigger on that one, and since I'm leaning to Tim Means, I'm obviously not going to bet Leonardo Staropoli. You guys are getting the recap early here because of this comment, so I'm sorry, but we're going to go ahead and fire through it. Gavin Tucker, Justin James. We don't know if Justin James is going to do well with the weight cut to minus 140, or not minus, sorry, the weight class 145. He usually fights at 155. I do lean Justin James, but I need to see him at the weigh-ins. So a lot of this stuff is going to flesh itself out a little bit later in the week. And Youssef Zalal, I want to bet Youssef Zalal. I'm trying to find an opportunity, an angle to bet Youssef Zalal, but he's minus 350. This is just a rough card, my friend. So I promise you, it's not because of the losing. It's not because, nothing of those things. It's just the simple fact that these spots are really tough and some of these lines are really rough. There's not a whole lot of value on these spots to be had right now, but don't worry. We're going to look at the totals when they come out. We will look at the props when they come out. We're going to look at the weigh-ins. I promise you, I'll end up finding some more action for this card. I always do. At the core of my being, I am a gambler. Omari Akhmedov taking on Chris Weidman. Here we go, folks. Here we go. Omari Akhmedov is 20-4. Kind of a journeyman UFC fighter. Chris Weidman is 14-5, the former champion. And I've already bet on Chris Weidman. I am going 2 units deep. I've got Chris Weidman locked in at minus 110, and I laid 2.2 units to win 2 on the All-American Chris Weidman. And I know I can hear the fingers clicking. I can hear the screen. No, Clint, don't do it. I know. Chris Weidman. But let me break it down for you. Let me talk you through this here. Let me get my my stats and my notes up here because this is a good one. This is one that we definitely need to talk through every single thing I've got for you so y'all understand how I got to this decision. Almost ready to go, I promise. So, here we go. Omari Akhmedov, he wings big counter shots, right? Dude's got halfway decent power, all right? And he's a big, strong, solid wrestler. He's got a big right hand. He's got a fast 1-2, but that's it. He's not savvy on the feet. He's not a great boxer. He's got a good 1-2, and he's got a big right hand. So if Chris watches out for that big right hand, that's really the only thing he's got to be concerned with. Omari Akhmedov is willing to stand in the pocket and trade. He absolutely has a solid body lock. If he gets in on you, he will try and lay on you. He will try and drain you. He's got big power takedowns. He's another one of these all power, all the time fighters. And because of that, he gasses out. Because of that, he slows down. In round 2 and round 3, Akhmedov does tend to gas. And the wild thing about this is that Akhmedov is a 170-pounder. He moved up to 185 a couple of fights ago, and since then, he's been on a decent run. However, He fought Tim Bosch, who I believe is now retired. He fought Zach Cummings, who is a mid-tier submission guy. Again, we talked about that wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. Akhmedov was able to grind out a guy like Zach Cummings, who also I think gasses out late. And then he fought Ian the Hurricane Heinisch. And this was a spot where Ian had not quite turned that corner yet. Akhmedov was able to go ahead and grapple with him, but he seemed to be getting the raw end of the deal with some of these big shots, and he was practically useless in round 3 of that fight. Ian almost came back and got the win there on that one. So, yes, that Ian win looks good in hindsight. However, the Ian we saw a couple of weeks ago is nowhere near the Ian that lost to Omari Akhmedov. If they run that rematch, Ian would probably be the favorite, and Ian also would probably win the fight. So we can't read a ton into that. Handsome Chris Weidman here, the All-American, 14-5, former champion. He is 1-5. Wow. 1-5 in his last 6 fights. I get it. I totally get it. You're like, Clint, how can you possibly bet on this guy? It's the same situation as Verdum, folks. We've got a former UFC champion. We've got a guy that has reached the pinnacle of the sport, who is the best at what he's done, who's taken on maybe one of the hardest competition levels we have ever seen. Let's run through that record. So he lost his strap to Luke Rockhold, prime Luke Rockhold, before his chin got taken. He runs into Yoel Romero in a fight where he was doing quite well until the KO bomb got landed in the 3rd round, which is the Yoel Romero special. He was fighting Gegard Mousasi in a fight that I also feel like he was doing pretty well in until the TKO in round 2. And I think that was one where he was trying to get a point deduction against Gegard Mousasi. He was really playing up that shot because as soon as the referee called the fight and waved it off as a TKO loss, he protested really hard for a guy who couldn't see straight about 2 seconds before. I really think he was attempting to play the judges in that spot, and it bit him in the ass. So he got hit with close to illegal knee. He was trying to be a downed opponent. He was trying to put his foot down and then ate a big shot in the process. So the Gegard Mousasi one, honestly, I kind of draw a little bit of a line through. So he comes back and he beats Kelvin Gastelum. Granted, that was all the way back in 2017. He's the bigger, stronger wrestler, but he was able to go 3 rounds with Kelvin Gastelum, who we know throws heat in his hands, and then he got the choke. He fought Jacare Souza. Now, Jacare is another one of these near championship caliber fighters. On the right night, he can beat just about anybody. So he comes out, and they go to absolute war. For 15 minutes, they go to war, and either one of these guys could have been dropped at any point in time. That was not a very good game plan, in my opinion, for Chris Weidman. However, he proved that he was the better striker in that fight. He was slicker, he was making all the right moves, he was cutting angles, and he was doing everything he needed to. But in round 3, Souza made it dirty. Jacare came in and he made that thing dirty, and he landed one big shot that got it done for him. Well, then Chris Weidman tries to move up a weight class and take on Dominic Reyes. We cashed in easy on this one, folks. We faded him here. It was so easy because he doesn't belong at 205, and fighting a guy like Dominic Reyes was just a bad choice. I don't know who let him do that. Okay, so now we say he's coming back. He's fighting Omari Akhmedov. I know. I hear you all, and I know what you're saying, but Omari Akhmedov is nowhere near the universe of the competition that he has had so far in the UFC. Omari Akhmedov is not a guy who's even a title contender at hope of being an actual title challenger. So I don't have any thoughts whatsoever that Akhmedov offers the kind of threat that those previous opponents did. Omari Akhmedov grinds in a grappling match, and if he can catch you in a submission, he will. Chris Weidman is a massive, high caliber Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Omari Akhmedov is not catching him in shit. The only way Omari Akhmedov wins this fight is if he clips Chris Weidman with a big bomb. Now, he could, but I don't think Akhmedov has got the kind of power of guys like Dominic Reyes, Souza, Mousasi, Yoel. He does not fall into those categories. He's a 170-pounder that's playing around at +1 at 185 because he can't make the weight cut. So Akhmedov is, statistically speaking, he's also not an impressive fighter. He averages 2.99 significant strikes per minute, absorbing 2.77. So he is only outlanding his opponents by that much. He takes it as good as he gets, essentially. And now, in recent history, Chris Weidman has trended that way himself, but it's been because of his recent run, and the Luke Rockhold fight where he got outlanded 126-48 was a big factor in those numbers being skewed. Again, we got to take in the caliber of competition that Chris Weidman has been facing. Weidman's got a 73% takedown defense rating, and Omari Akhmedov does have an impressive 50% takedown offense rate, but I don't see Akhmedov being able to take down somebody like Weidman, and if he does, I don't see him being able to hold him down or out-grapple him. I mean, Chris Weidman is by far the more skilled fighter in every aspect of this game. So right then and there, in my opinion, he should be the favorite. He opened up as the dog. Nothing but Chris Weidman has come in so far, and now he's sitting at about -115. I expect the line to continue moving that way. If you want to bet against him, if you want to fade the chin, I understand. However, I've been doing that myself, and this ain't it. This isn't the opponent to do it. Chris Weidman is also going to have a size advantage in this fight. Omari Akhmedov is 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. Weidman is 6'2", with a 78-inch reach. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. If he wants to stick and move and duck his way around this fight, he's not even going to be in danger of getting hit by Akhmedov because he's got that extra height and reach advantage. And on top of that, he's training with Wonder Boy. He's training with the most elusive fighter in the UFC, the karate master himself, the man who will be able to teach him how to conserve himself and not overextend and overreach and keep himself safe on his striking. And look at them abs, folks. Chris Weidman is in serious shape right now. All signs point to Chris Weidman for me, and because of that, I have doubled up on it. I'm risking 2.2 units to win 2 units on Chris Weidman. I fully expect to take this cash that I win on Chris Weidman, stick it in my pocket, say thank you, buddy, and then I will fade him the next time he steps in the octagon because he is damaged goods. The next time that he steps up in competition, when he gets back to that title contendership spot, when he gets to the top 5, I will fade him. He will fight somebody with legit knockout power. He will fight somebody that has a speed advantage on him, and we will be right back on the fade Chris Weidman train. However, this one ain't it. Whew! That was a lot to get through. I got amped up on that one. I was excited. All right. Irregardless, saying Omari all day. Reyes cashed in on that one. Clint with his wannabe Chimaev beard. That's right. It's gone now, though. It used to be the wannabe Chimaev beard. I tried. I fit right in with all the Nurmagomedovs. Goots still can't bet on Weidman. Totally understand that. I get it. Danny saying, I'm with you. Good, buddy. I love it. Let's go. And Raphael, I don't know if I agree. You're saying Chris will be more fragile this time. I'm not sure that I'll agree on that point. He fought Dominic Reyes back in October, so he's had a nice long time to lay off and recover, and he's not fighting a guy that hits nearly as hard and also doesn't have the volume. So definitely don't think so. Yes, very risky. I agree, it's risky, but hey, like we talked about earlier in the show, you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? I told you guys I'm not afraid. I will sack up and I will put my money where my mouth is every single time. When I see a spot I like, when I see a legitimate good spot, I'm taking it. Every time. That brings us to our main event of the evening, folks. We've got Derrick Lewis taking on Aleksei Oleinik, one of my favorite old dogs in the game. We've done some good work with Aleksei. He's been very kind to us. We've cashed in on him on a semi-regular basis, actually. So this one's interesting. I've had basically everybody out there telling me that you're going to bet tweeting me. This is a Clint bet. Oleinik is a Clint bet, and you're right. It is. It absolutely is. Where more often than not, I should be betting on Aleksei Oleinik. However, something is stopping me this time, my friends. When I broke down this fight originally, the very first thing that I did was go, I think Aleksei Oleinik is being disrespected. The line opened up a little bit wide. Aleksei Oleinik was a plus 250 favorite, and that has been bet down to 185. It's been nothing but Aleksei Oleinik money so far. Derrick Lewis was a 325 favorite, and he's dropped all the way to minus 225. And like I said, I get it. This is absolutely a me spot. This is the kind of spot that I should be betting. And normally I do bet, and we took the stab on Verdum and stuff like that, but there's that spider sense tingling right now. There's something on the back of my neck standing up going, don't do it, bro. I don't know what it is, but something is stopping me from betting Aleksei Oleinik in this spot. I almost feel like we're having a case of conjoined recency bias. And I say conjoined because we're all seeing the same thing. Derrick Lewis is 2-2 in his last 4. He got subbed out by Daniel Cormier. He got knocked out by Junior Dos Santos. And then he won a split over Blagoy Ivanov. And he won a convincing decision over Ilir Latifi. However, he gave up a whole lot of takedowns in that Latifi fight, right? So what I've seen online, what I've seen people talking about is that Derrick Lewis has lost his power. He's not showing that knockout power that he used to bring to the table. And it's not something that, you know, he's showing off anymore, and we're used to him being this big knockout threat, and that's all he does is just crush people with these big knockout bombs. His last couple fights, obviously, he hasn't been doing that. Junior Dos Santos was able to outclass him. He's a true veteran of the sport and a champion caliber opponent who was able to outslick a guy like Derek Brunson, who we know is just a brawler. Derek Brunson is not a technique fighter. He relies on his power and his size, and all he does is try to hit you harder than you can hit him and knock you down before you can knock him down. So we got out-finessed there. That's an understandable loss. Against Blagoy, that was a very, very close fight. But you know what? Blagoy has a chin like I've never seen before. That man is impossible to finish. So the fact that Derrick Lewis hit him with the kitchen sink in that fight and could not put him away just speaks volumes. I mean, Blagoy went on to fight Augusto Sakai and still didn't get knocked out. He has never been knocked out. Blagoy is made out of something else. He doesn't get knocked out. So you cannot knock Derrick Lewis for not being able to put that man away. No one's been able to do it so far. Against Ilir Latifi, we've talked about how when fighters are cutting too much weight and they take a new home up a weight class, they're not cutting as much, they're more durable. Latifi got hurt by Derrick Lewis, but I think at 265, he's a much more durable person than he was cutting all the way down to 205. He did seem to be a little bit chinny when he was down at 205. However, we say that his only knockout losses were to Ryan Bader and Volkan Ozdemir, which we know the heat that both of those guys pack. So I'm spending maybe a little bit too long on this point, but Derrick Lewis has no shame in not knocking out either of those previous opponents, okay? Derrick Lewis also, he does give up takedowns. I'll give you that. He absolutely gives up takedowns, but he does also have no neck. It's hard to choke out a guy with no neck. Trust me, I'm not making a joke. When you've got that short, stocky, when you're doing this, like when you look like this, naturally speaking, it's really hard to get your neck under there. Now, I know a guy like Alexei is a super high caliber black belt. He will find a way to choke somebody like that. Most people wouldn't be able to. I do think Alexei can. So just go ahead and put a little asterisk on that. The other thing Derrick Lewis brings to the table is the fuck you get up game. And I call it that because he is so physically strong. When he gets taken down, he lays on his back for a second. He kind of recovers himself. And then he just pushes a 265 grown fucking man off of him and stands up. I don't know how a human being can be that powerful. But he literally just... No. That's all he does. And I don't know how he pulls it off. But if Oleinik gets him to the mat, I'm not confident that Oleinik can keep him on the mat. The only concern I have is that Derrick Lewis does have the give up your back type of stand-up game. If he loses position in a scramble, Alexei might be able to dive on his back and take the neck. So there's a couple of questions there. I think there's a sincere path to victory for my old man, the boa constrictor. The only reason I'm not betting on him is that Oleinik is way past his expiration date. Remember, the other rule we have is that we don't bet on fighters who are over the age of 40 unless we have a damn good reason. That damn good reason can be a lot of things. Oleinik is 43. He is 59-13. 46. You did not hear that wrong. 46 wins in mixed martial arts by submission. This man is a submission machine. He is also 2-2 in his last knee. However, he got a submission over Maurice Green, who's an absolute trash can, and he won a split decision over a Fabricio Verdum who came in out of shape without a camp in COVID times. Now, we just saw what Fabricio Verdum is capable of when he takes a fight seriously. So we really have to go back to that Fabricio Verdum fight and scratch a line through it and go, that wasn't Fabricio Verdum. Even at this stage of his career, that night was not Fabricio Verdun. And it was a close back and forth fight, and it went to a split. His 2 fights before that were knockout losses to Walt Harris and Alistair Overeem, both in the first round. Oleinik cannot take the heat that Derrick Lewis brings to the table. And the concern here for me is that Oleinik is the master of the club and sub. He has to come in and blitz and land a big shot, hurt his opponent, knock them down, and then lock up the submission. That's how he fights. That's how he fights every time. I'm confident that he can close the distance. If it gets to the mat, I'm confident he can probably get the submission. But Derrick Lewis, this is not an easy man to come in on. He's only been submitted once, and that was to Daniel Cormier, who is a far better wrestler than Alexei Oleinik. That's the only time he's given up his back and been choked out. I don't know if Alexei Oleinik is going to be able to get it done here. And I honestly feel like this is a situation where we have a very public dog. People have been seeing these underdogs coming through in big, big spots. We saw Verdum come through. We just saw Derek Brunson come through. People are hunting for these dogs, and something is keeping me off of this fight. I'm actually going to sit tight here, and I'm going to see how far this line drops. I want to see what Derrick Lewis by knockout looks like, because I really kind of sort of think that might be the way to go. The total on this fight is set at 1.5, it looks like. They've got these ones out early for the main event in some places. So it's set at 1.5, juiced minus 115 to the over ever so slightly. That one's tough. That one's really, really tough because Derrick Lewis wins in the second round slightly. I'm sorry, he has his losses in the second round just slightly under. And then he's gone third round basically every other time. So in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights, he's gone over. He's made it to the third round in 5 of those 7 fights, and the only 2 times it went under was when he lost. So with this being a 5-round main event, that's sketchy right there to put the total at 1.5 for a 5-round main event. We've got Oleinik inside the distance at plus 230, which, yeah, but I mean, you're not getting hardly any extra value there. And then you've got Lewis inside the distance at minus 160. Yeah, that's not great either. It looks like people are betting the not Lewis inside the distance line. It went from minus 170 to minus 160 on Lewis finishing. So for now, this is a pass, folks. I know that's lame to have a pass on the main event, but for now I'm going to pass because I really want to sit back and watch. I really want to sit back and see. The word on the street is that Derrick Lewis has also gotten the much-needed surgery to get his low back fixed. I need to do a little bit more stalking and see whether or not that's true, and then also watch the weigh-ins, because honestly, if Derrick Lewis comes in not at 265, but at like 240, 245, 250, something like that, if he shows that he's been working, he's in shape, he's actually got a gas tank, he's ready to go, he's not fighting, at 60% capacity, I think he'll find that bomb, especially because we've got 5 rounds to work with. The fact that we have 5 rounds to work with here, this fight is not going to the judges' scorecards. I don't see how this thing makes it all 5. One of these guys, I mean, even if it turns into a slow, sloppy, gas fest type of fight, I think Lewis is just going to be the one that will keep Oleinik at bay with his striking. I do think he ends up getting the win here, but I see what everyone's looking at on Oleinik. I see the opportunity for him to come in here and win a submission, flash knockdown and choke out type of situation. And honestly, I'm rooting for him. I'm such a fan of Oleinik at this point, and I've made so much money betting on him, to win inside the distance and stuff like that, that I love it. So I would love to see him come in here and get another one, but I just don't necessarily see him actually pulling it on. My buddy sent 9092 saying, do I do DFS? No, my friend, I do not do DFS, but there are some boys over here on Odds HQ that do DFS. We've got DFS by the numbers on the roundtable, I think, tomorrow, that talks about all that stuff. And actually, he's got a solo video out this week, I believe, talking about line movement and stuff like that. Yes, Sam, Giga fight is off. I don't know what happened to it, but they did pull it from the card. Giga was supposed to fight Alex Caceres, and that seems to have been pushed back a couple of weeks. The other fight that's coming in on this one is Kevin Holland fighting the short notice replacement here. Kid is from LFA, I believe. I haven't done my research completely yet, but he's stepping into the UFC for the very first time, and he's fighting my boy Kevin Holland. So if I can find a way to bet Holland, I definitely will be finding a way to bet Kevin Holland. That's the show, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. We've got over 300 live viewers. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me on a Monday night. It means the absolute world to me. So far, we only have 2 actual locked-in plays. I've got to double down on Chris Weidman. We're risking 2.2 units to win 2 units. And then we do have a straight bet on Beneil Dariush. I'll be looking at everything else throughout the week. Follow me at diehard MMA Pod over on Twitter. I'll be tweeting out my action there. Do me a favor and make sure you follow the Odds HQ Twitter at Odds110. That's where they'll be tweeting out all the shows and stuff like that, all the articles. Support my boys. My boys are going to do the roundtable tomorrow night for the Contender Series. Make sure you tune in and show up for that as well. Again, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you all so much. We've got Nick Peppard, Keto XCV, George S. Tank, Abbott, Steve Sparks, Ryan Saloni, Dean Raymond, JT MMA, Jarvis Williams, my boy Boston Nick MMA, Matt Parker. We've got Danny Seho, Sam Chamberlain, Cool the Fool, Zabul. Oh, thank you all. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. And the reminder from my friend, thank you so much. The 1K bet. If I had $1,000 this week to put it on any one straight bet, honestly, I'd have to say Chris Weidman. If I had $1,000 and I had to make it on one single bet, I would bet it on Chris Weidman. I am telling you, folks, this is the spot. This is the one spot for Chris Weidman. I've faded him for the last 5 years. This will be the one time that I bet on him. And even if he gets a return fight after this one, if I'm wrong this week, if Chris Weidman comes in here and he gets his ass knocked out one more time, I'm never betting on him again. I don't care if he drops to the very lowest end of the division. I don't care if Chris Weidman fights a UFC debutante after this. I will not be betting on him ever again. This is the one spot that I think it's okay to bet on Chris Weidman. So yes, I would put my $1,000 on Chris Weidman this week. Thank you all so much. Again, your love and support is super appreciated. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here doing what I do, and I find myself very fortunate to do so. I appreciate everything the Odds has done for me. I appreciate all of you for doing everything with me. Thank you for tuning into the show. Do me a favor, throw this thing out, a retweet on Twitter for me. Get the masses in here checking this thing out. Over 300 live viewers on a Monday when baseball and basketball are going on another sketchy UFC card. Not half bad. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. And as always, positivity. Love yourself. Love each other. Don't be that toxic person on Twitter. You never know what somebody else is going through. We all have issues. The world is a very tough place to live in today. And because of that, we need to be understanding and kind to one another. So reach out to your friends. Reach out to your family. Be the person that you need to be in your own life. Let's roll.